Lam, Ain, Ra, Ba, Ya, Ta. دروس في العربية.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. إخواني وأخواتي مشاهدين الكرام، أحييكم بتحية الإسلام، فأقول السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم إلى دروس في اللغة العربية. My beloved brothers and sisters, let me greet you with the universal greeting of peace, and that is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It means, may the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon you. And I would like to say welcome to you as we continue with our lessons here in Arabic at the 10 television station. It is called in Arabic Durusun fil Lugat al-Arabiyyah, or Durusun fil Arabiyyah, lessons in Arabic. For the past few weeks, we have been looking at the verb, and we have been looking at the tenses of the verb, the perfect tense and the imperfect tense. Then we went on to look at the conjugation of the verb, and we also look at the imperative form and also the negative imperative. And we looked basically at some short sentences. But more so, we looked at the conjugation of the verb, both for the perfect tense and the imperfect tense. And previous to that, or those sessions, we looked at the noun, and we looked very briefly at some of the other parts of speech. Today, inshallah, we would like now to bring the nouns and the verbs, bring them together and see how they can work together. All right, of course, we know that the verb has certain moods and nouns have cases. So the words themselves, they are like people. You know, sometimes people have different moods, and you also have different cases. And we would like to see the behavior of these words as they would work together. So today's session it's a different approach now, as we have already looked at the conjugation of the verb and so on. And today we would like to look at how, when we put the nouns and the verbs together, how they will work, and how sometimes the nouns may be affected because of the position that it occurs in the sentence. All right, so we would look at also the different kinds of sentences. I had hinted that sometime before, that you have a nominal sentence and verbal sentences. So we would also look at that, and then we would look also at analyzing those sentences, all right, and why the noun will be in a certain case. All right, so nouns have cases and verbs have moods. So we will have to, to look now a little bit closer into the nouns, and also we would also be looking at some other parts of speech, especially prepositions, inshallah. All right, so let's just start here first by writing Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And previously I had indicated to you that the Arabs use this style of writing because it is much faster and it is easier. All right, so this is Bism and this is Allah, and this is one of the attributes of Allah, and it is Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman. And we have the next word, another attribute of Allah, and the word is Ar-Rahim. So we have Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay? So now we look at let's just say the word, this word here is called, see if you can make out the letters. We have Alif Lam, Al. Remember when we were talking about nouns, we mentioned that some nouns may begin with Alif and Lam. So Alif and Lam is really a definite article. All right? Al. And we have Jumla. Okay, al-jumla. It means the sentence. Al-jumla means sentence. Okay. One of the things that I have mentioned previously, that words that end with this little ta, which is called the ta marbuta, or the closed up ta, is always preceded by a fatha vowel. There is always a fatha before the ta marbuta. This is a general rule, and you have to remember that rule. So as long as you remember that rule, then there will be no need for the vowel to be placed there, because there is only one possibility for that vowel, and that is a fatha. It can never be a dhamma, neither can it never be a kasra. When? When there is a small ta at the end, which is called ta marbuta. Okay? And previously we also mentioned that the nun, if it begins with alif lam, then the ending of the nun will be a single dhamma. All right? So al-jumla tu. Al-jumla tu. But in spoken Arabic, the Arabs, they ignore this final letter, which is the ta marbuta, and they end at the previous letter with its vowel. So they will pronounce this as al-jumla, la. And they replace this ta with an H sound, a silent H. So we say al-jumla. Al-jumla means the sentence. Al-jumla, sentence. So basically, there are two types of sentences. One is called ismiya. All right, I'm going to write it in this form of writing. Is, that's meme, and this is a ya, it's two dot, and ta marbuta. Ismiya, and the next word is fi'liya. Fi'liya, from the word fi'l. Remember, the word fi'l means verb. So fi'liya means verbal. And ismiya, because ism means name or noun. All right, like when you say Bismillah, in the name of Allah. So ism means noun. So ism means name, and it also means noun. So it is a nominal sentence, and you have verbal sentence. A nominal sentence is one that begins with a noun, and the verbal one is the one that begins with the verb. It's very simple. Now, the Arabs can express a feeling by using any one of the two. Okay? So if, for example, we want to say Muhammad, okay? Muhammad went to the masjid. Okay? Muhammad went to the masjid. This is what we want to say in Arabic. This can be expressed either by using a nominal sentence, or we can use the verbal sentence. So let us look first of all as it says here in the English. So we have Muhammad first. So we write Muhammad first. So we say Muhammad went, dhahaba, went, to, ila, the masjid, al-masjid. Muhammadun dhahaba ila al-masjid. Muhammadun dhahaba ila al-masjidi. I would like to highlight two things here as we are talking about the nominal sentence and the verbal sentence. I'm going to highlight the ending of the word Muhammad, and I'm going to highlight here the ending of the word masjid. Okay? So while we are learning about the nominal sentence and the verbal sentence, at the same time, we are also learning some other things. All right? So this is a nominal sentence because it begins with a noun. But we want to say Muhammad went to the masjid. So Muhammadun dhahaba ila al-masjid. Previously, I had also mentioned that the word dhahaba, which means he went, is always followed by the preposition ila. So Muhammadun dhahaba ila. Anytime you use dhahaba, Anytime ذهب is used, it is followed by the word إلى. Even more, most cases. And now we want to use the verbal sentence, so we will use the verb first. So now we can say ذهب محمد إلى المسجد. Okay, so here we have the verb first. ذهب محمد إلى المسجد. So the verbal sentence, the verb is the first word, and the nominal sentence is the noun first. Both of them mean the same thing. Muhammad went to the masjid. Okay? But now we want to analyze the sentence. Analyzing the sentence means we want to look at every word as they occur in the sentence, and we want to look and see what part of speech it is, and also the case. If it is a noun, we want to look at the case of the noun. And if it is a verb, we'll also look at the mood of the verb. All right, or what kind of verb it is. Okay, so we have Muhammadun, the noun. And notice the tanween dhamma, it is Muhammadun. Muhammadun, the word is said to be in the nominative case. Okay? In Arabic, the nominative case, or it is also called the subjective case, all right? And in English grammar, it is called the subject of the sentence because it begins with a noun. So Muhammad is the subject of the sentence. And anytime you analyze a sentence and you say this word is a subject, then you want to know where is the predicate. The remaining of the sentence will form the predicate. But we will also, dissect and look at every word that make up, the predicate. Okay, so Muhammad is the subject of the sentence. It is called mubtada, which means the subject of the sentence. Mubtada means subject. And the case is called rafa. So I write the word rafa. Raf refers to case, the case. The noun has three cases. Okay, the noun has three cases. First one is called rafa. And the next one is called nasb. And the next one is called jar. All right, jar. So you have rafa, nasb, and jar. These are called cases of the noun. Okay, the noun has three cases: rafa, nasb, and jar. So this is the case here. The noun itself is said to be marfu'. So the word Muhammad is marfu', which is a derivative from the same word rafa. So the case is called rafa', but the noun is said to be marfu'. Okay? Again, the case is the name of the case is what? Rafa'. But the noun is said to be marfu'. Okay? And then you have the next case, which is called nasb. And the noun, if it is in that case, it is said to be mansoob. And then the last case, which is jar, the noun will said to be majroor. So those three cases. Now, what is the sign of rafa? What is the sign of rafa? Now, there are different signs. Okay? There are different signs for the rafa case. So far, you have learned about the dhamma. The dhamma is the sign for the rafa case. And the dhamma can either be a single dhamma or it could be a double dhamma. Tanween dhamma. All right? So that is the first sign that you would learn about the rafa. Okay? And so the case is called rafa, but the noun is said to be marfu'. We move on. This word ذهب, ذهب is the verb. So we say ذهب is فعل ماض, فعل ماض, فعل ماض means a perfect tense verb. فعل, ذهب is فعل, it's a verb, and it is the perfect tense verb. So you say فعل ماض. إلى حرف جر. إلى is called حرف جر. It is حرف جر, حرف and jar. Harf literally means particle, and jar means genitive, the genitive particle. There is one word in the English grammar for those two words, harfu jar. It is called preposition. So harfu jar means preposition. So we say ila is harfu jar. Ila, harfu jar, preposition. Al-masjidi, al-masjidi. Al-masjid, normally we would say masjid in our spoken language. But because of the word ila, which is a preposition, the dhamma from the dal has now been changed to a kasra. That is because of the preposition. Because the noun was preceded by a preposition. You should also know that whenever you have a preposition, the word that follows the preposition can only be a noun. Understand what I'm saying? If you have a preposition, the word that comes immediately after the preposition has to be a noun. It cannot be any other part of speech. And that is why the poet says, بِالْجَرِّ وَالتَّنْوِينِ وَالنِّدَاءِ وَأَلْ وَمُسْنَدٍ لِلْإِسْمِ تَمْيِيزٌ حَصَلْ. This is one of the great grammarians and poet who had, mentioned all of the Arabic grammar in 1,000 verses of poetry, and it is called Alfiyat ibn Malik. It is a very small book, and it comprises of only poetry, and all of the rules of Arabic grammar is explained in that book. And it is a book that has been also explained in a 2-volume Arabic text, which students, they study this book in the universities in the Middle East, in Medina and in Mecca and many other countries of the Middle East. So the Arabs, previously and even today, they had the ability, and they do have the ability, to express themselves so much so that they referred to themselves as Arab. And from the word Arab, Araba, which means to express. So the Arab looks at himself to be someone who is very expressive. Hence the reason he is called Arab. Whereas the one who did not speak his language cannot express, so he is said to be A'jam. And Ajam, from the root word Ajam, which basically one of the meanings is dumb. So if you don't speak their language, you're said, you're classified as an illiterate or a dumb person, amongst the many other meanings of the word Ajam. Anyways, we come back to ila al-masjid. So ila is a preposition, al-masjid is the noun. So we say ila is harfu jar, al-masjid is majroor. It is the noun. The case of the noun is in the genitive case. And why? Because it was preceded by a preposition. All right? So we have just analyzed that first sentence, the nominal sentence. We'll take a short break now, inshallah. And when we come back, we look at the next sentence.
هذا القرآن يوحدنا لطريق الخير يوجهنا الله تعالى أنزله ورسول الله معلمنا
We know that when we die, where will we go? Our bodies, the Muslims believe, our bodies will not just become rotted and we will go into thin air and nothing will happen to us. We as Muslims believe that we will go in the world of barzakh. It is like a waiting place, the world of the grave, and there can be torment of the grave, or there can be peace and tranquility, sleeping comfortably until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Subhanallah, seeing the windows, a window that shows us the Jannah, inshallah. Ameen.
O ye who believe, eat of the good things wherewith we have provided you, and render thanks to Allah, if it is indeed He whom ye worship.
You held my hand to steady me till I was ready to make a stand on my own 2 feet while my world was crumbling down. And you tried your best to shelter me from the coming of the storm. You opened my eyes to see that all hope was not gone.
Allahu, Allahu, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. Allahu, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah.
When we can do Qurbani, right, and we can get our family involved in the Qurbani, and we could come together with them, it's a great thing, because that's a moment of a unique moment for all of us when we involve in doing this thing for the pleasure of Allah.
There are 3 main bodies of the Jews, right? There's the Orthodox Jews, the Reformed Jews, and the Conservative Jews. And they all have different opinions about what could be allowed as kosher and so on. For example, the Reformed Jews, they allow the skin of the pig to be kosher. So you'll find some gelatin, kosher gelatin, made from pig skin. And that's why kosher gelatin, we don't allow it even in things like Yoplait yogurt.
So sometimes people have wealth, in the bank in a fixed deposit. And together with that money in the bank, their own money, let's call it the capital, the amount they put in, there would have been a lot of interest on that. Now, zakat cannot be paid on that interest, because if you do that, you will be paying zakat on haram wealth.
O you who believe, save yourselves and your families from the fire of hell.
The Sharia states that the Muslim is one who submits his total will to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allah says in the Holy Quran, Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. Every soul shall have a taste of death. That is a reality.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a nutshell, as a prerequisite even for those words that we would say, the kalima, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever learns knowledge in order to boast and brag and to debate and argue with those who don't have knowledge and to show their knowledge to those who do, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they can kindle their place in the fire of Jahannam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us.
Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, say to the mu'mineen, say to the Muslimin, that if you make a claim that you love Allah Rabbul Izzah, then follow my footsteps, subhanallah. Follow the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Welcome back to Darut, Tarbiyah, the Islamic Network News Review. On our details, Mark Bowden, outgoing United Nations Humanitarian Coordinator for Somalia, has called for increased international aid to the Horn of Africa nation.
First kalimat tayyibah la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Prophet Ibrahim as a young boy was brought up in an environment of idols and idol worship. Even his own father used to make and worship idols.
I understand your distress, but their soldiers did not give us any chance. They made a
Marhaban. Welcome, brothers and sisters, as we continue with our lessons in Arabic, Durusun fil Lughat al-Arabiyyah. We were looking today at the different types of sentences, the nominal sentence and the verbal sentence. and we just analyzed the nominal sentence. We also indicated that the noun, all nouns in the Arabic language have basically three cases. One is called raf', the next one is called nasb, and the last one is called jar. This is a jim here. The first letter is a jim, the dot there, and the ra, jar. Raf is the name of the case. In English, we would say it's a nominative case. Nasb is called the accusative case or the objective case. And jar is called the genitive case. All right? And you have seen the genitive case is basically the case where it is preceded by a preposition. This is one of the reasons why the noun will be in the jar case. Let me say that again. One of the reasons, all right, one of the reasons why the noun will be in the genitive case, in the jar case, is when it will be preceded by a preposition. So anytime there is a preposition, you have to make sure that the noun goes into that case, which is the jar case. What is the sign for the jar case? It is the kasra. The kasra can either be tanween kasra, a double tanween, a double kasra, or it could be a single. The reason why we have a single kasra here, it is because of the alif lam. Alif lam here is the single. If I did not have the alif lam here, it would have been tanween kasra. Okay, so we have the names, we know their meanings, and we know the signs for them. We move across here now to the al-jumlat al-fi'liya, all right, al-jumlat al-fi'liya. Now we notice that the word jumla is written here. I'm going to write it one more time for you, and I'm going to write it in the same font, which is called the ruq'a style, all right. So alif, lam, jim, mim, lam, and ta. Okay? Al-jumla. Okay? Al-jumla. Right. Al-jumlatul fi'liya. Jumla fi'liya. Verbal. So, ذهب, 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 ذهب. فعل ماض. فعل ماض. فعل ماض means perfect tense verb. ذهب. محمد. Okay. Muhammadun. Let me highlight Muhammadun. Tanween Dhamma. Okay. Muhammadun. And then Muhammadun here is fa'il. Fa'il basically is the doer of the verb. So if you have a verb, you must have a doer of the verb. Okay? And then in the verbal sentence, the noun that follows normally, all right, in most cases, you will see the case of it is the nominative case. So it is said it's called what? Fa'il. Fa'il. Fa'il means literally translated as doer, the doer of the verb. In English grammar, it is called the active participle. The active participle. All right? Muhammadun. Dhahaba Muhammadun. Okay, so we already finished with these two words. Ila, same word, ila. Ila, we say what? Harfu jar, preposition. Ila is harfu jar, preposition. Al-masjid, di. All right, same thing. Ila al-masjid, di. So we say ila is harfu jar. Al-masjid, majroor. Al-masjid, majroor. What is the sign of the jar? What is the sign of jar? Al-kasra. Kasra. Okay? Kasra. Remember kasra? Fatha, kasra, and dhamma, the three vowels that we were talking about in the first few sessions of our course. Right. So we say masjid is majroor. That is the noun, which is in the genitive case. So we say al-masjid is majroor wa alamatu jarrihi, and the sign of that jar or the genitive case is al-kasra. That is the sign of the genitive case. So, ذهب فعل ماض محمد فاعل مرفوع فاعل مرفوع. It is the doer or the active participle, and it is in the nominative case. إلى is harfu jar, and al-masjid is majroor. So the Arabic grammar now, the rule says al-fa'ilu, al-fa'il, the doer of the verb, is always in the nominative case. Al-fa'ilu is always marfu'. Al-fa'ilu marfu'. Al-fa'il is always marfu', which means it is always in the nominative case. How do you know how to put the case? The sign, the vowel sign. And that is tanween dhamma. It could be a single dhamma, or it could be a tanween dhamma. This is just one of the signs. There are other signs that will indicate the nominative case. But so far, we're taking it gradually. So this is just one of the examples. All right? So I hope, inshallah, that you have understood the two kinds of sentences. And inshallah, as we would be looking at other examples, inshallah, we will be also analyzing some of those sentences. Now let us see if you can remember some of the things that we talked about previously. And now we can use those same verbs by putting in some other words with those verbs. Remember, today's class is about using the verb along with the noun. And let's see how they can work together. All right? And which one is affected, and why was it affected? And what, are the signs for the change in the noun and so on, and in the verb. All right? So if we said ذهب means he went. Let's use another verb. Let's say kataba. Kataba. Kataba means he wrote. Kataba. All right? Kataba. He wrote. I wrote. Katabtu. I am writing. Aktubu. Aktubu. We have to learn to differentiate between the perfect tense and the imperfect tense. And if you did not memorize, and if you do not memorize the conjugation of the verb, there is no way that you will be able to converse in the Arabic language. You have to spend some time. You have to sacrifice. This is not a quick fix thing. There is no shortcut to it. Sometimes you find some books in some of the bookstores, learn Arabic in a week, or learn Arabic in a few, in 10 days or something like that. There is nothing like that. You could memorize some sentences and some phrases and so on, but that doesn't make you a person who knows the language. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that we are actually learning how to make up your own sentences, whatever you want to say and how you want to, how you can express yourself, as long as you understand the rules that govern the language. So we have kataba, he wrote. I could add different words to it and change the whole, the meaning of what we wanted. So kataba means wrote, he wrote. So if I say man kataba, that means who wrote. All right? Man kataba hadha. Who wrote this? Huh? Man kataba hadha. Man. So that's meme and that's noon. All right, like this. You want to go beyond this. It's the same thing. That's the meme and that's the noon there. All right? So you could write it like this. All right? And it could also be written like this. Like this. And like that. This or this. This one is faster. All right? So we go with this one here. Man kataba hadha. It's a question. So who wrote this? Man kataba hadha. And I can change from man, I could say mata. Mata. Mata means when. Mata. Mata. Mata means when. Who? Right? Man. Man kataba hadha. Mata. Mata kataba hadha. When did he write this? Okay? I could change it to a question. I could say hal or hal kataba hadha. Did he write this? Hal kataba hadha. Did he write this? So you could use man, mata, use hal. What about kaifa? Kaifa kataba hadha? How did he write this? Kaifa kataba hadha? Kaifa kataba hadha? What about the conjugation of the verb? We can change the tense of the verb. All right? And I could, for me, I say, how do I write this? Kaifa aktubu hadha? Kaifa aktubu hadha? Well, not man. You say, mata aktubu hadha? When should I write this? Mata aktubu hadha? All right? Hal aktubu hadha? Hal aktubu? All right? All right? Should I write this? Hal aktubu hadha? So you can use different words. These are all interrogatives. All right? Words. They call interrogatives. And you could use it with the verb. And you could conjugate the verb. All right? هل تكتب هذا؟ متى تكتب هذا؟ متى تكتب هذا? When would you write this? متى تكتب? So learn the conjugation, okay? Learn the tense, perfect tense, and the imperfect tense, and try to use these words كيف and man, متى and hal, inshallah. And then you are on your way to formulate simple sentences, inshallah. And if you cannot do this simple one, then you have to check with yourself. You need to do some revision of what we have done so far, and you need to go back, and you always have to look at the conjugation of the verb. If you have not yet memorized the conjugation of the verb, you just need to go back to it, and just don't look at it, say it out aloud, say it loudly, all right? And if you have someone you can speak to, then you can, try to practice with that person, and inshallah, that will help a lot, all right? So if your aim is that you want to speak, then that is my advice to you. If your aim is just that you just want to understand, well, mashallah, at least you must know what are the various suffixes that you must add for the perfect tense, and what are the prefixes that you must add, and the infix or suffixes again for the imperfect tense. Okay? And if you know that, well then inshallah you are going well so far. All right? So again is our second break, inshallah. And when we come back, we have the last segment, and perhaps we can look at some examples from the glorious Quran. So if you don't have your Quran, maybe you can now. It's a good time for you to get your Quran and look for some examples of some prepositions, and we will talk about them, inshallah.
هذا القرآن يوحدنا لطريق الخير يوجهنا الله تعالى أنزله ورسول الله معلمنا
We know that when we die, where will we go? Our bodies, the Muslims believe our bodies will not just become rotted and we will go into thin air and nothing will happen to us. We as Muslims believe that we will go in the world of barzakh. It is like a waiting place, the world of the grave, and there can be torment of the grave, or there can be peace and tranquility, sleeping comfortably until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Subhanallah, seeing the windows, a window that shows us the Jannah, inshallah. Ameen.
Our father and our mother as people are the absolute supreme, most important people in our lives. More important to us in our living lives, because if the Prophet ﷺ was alive, then he would have been more important. But outside and past his death, it is our parents that take that position. You know that respect is gained when you can say one word and everyone knows who that person is. And that's the obvious, of course, that's the aim of all public relations companies. They get paid millions and millions to be able to create that brand name. So you just say that person's name and it's recognized and understood. Well, you know, subhanAllah, we have the same thing. We have the same thing. They said Abdullah is Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. No need to tell us anymore.
Do you know what Islam is? It's a way of life for all.
When Muslims themselves reach a stage of actually saying things and using remarks against Islam, then it will not be a big surprise if those who are not Muslim use similar remarks. So therefore, very, very important for each and every one of us is to have the proper understanding of Islam.
Of life is
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. Welcome, brothers and sisters, as we continue with our last segment today here. And we are talking about some prepositions now. We want to look at some prepositions. We were looking at prepositions, and we just said that a preposition is a word that comes before the noun. Prepositions can come before nouns, only nouns. After a preposition, you cannot have other parts of speech. Unless, of course, a pronoun, all right? Because a pronoun is a word that acts in the place of a noun, all right? So either a noun or a pronoun, no other word, all right? And we look at the word ila. Ila means to, all right? To. Then you have the word min. Min means from. Do not confuse min with the word man. This is man. The fatha here. Man means who. Okay? Who. That's a relative pronoun. And it could also be used as an interrogative word. Alright? So you have min, which means from. Okay? Min. Then you have fi. Fi. Fi means in or at. Okay? And then we have ala. Ala means on. Ala. It also means above. All right, ala, on or above. And you have ba, bi, which means with. It could also mean in. All right, bi. You say Bismillah, so with the name of Allah, or you could say in the name of Allah. So it's either in or with. Okay, so you have bi. You have li. Li means for or belonging to. Belonging to. Li. Alright, so those are like about 6 prepositions, inshallah. Those are very frequently used, alright, in everyday speech and so on. And also you have hundreds of them, or thousands of them, you can find in the glorious Quran. Alright, so inshallah, perhaps now it's a good time, if you have your Quran with you, inshallah we could look at, let's say, the last chapter of the glorious Quran. Look at the last chapter of the glorious Quran and see if you can see any of these words here, right? Any of them mentioned here, all right? And of course, the last chapter, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس من الجن. So in this surah we can see at least about 3 prepositions. So you have, for example, min. So in the Quran, say for example, you have, let me write it like this now, because this is what you're seeing. Min, shar, al-waswas. Okay, so you have min, shar, ri, sharri. So notice here you have a preposition, the word that comes after, it's a noun, and you will notice the case of the noun, it is in the genitive case. You will see there is a kasra after min. Okay? Then you have fi. Fi sudur an-nas. Fi suduri kasra because of fi sudurin nas. So preposition, and your noun here is majrur. Sudur means the chest, all right, or it also means the hearts of mankind. Okay, so you have fi, and then you have min al jinnati wan nas. And you would notice what you're seeing here in the Quran. You have min, you have minal jinnati, right? Minal jinnati wan nas. So there is a fatha here, and then you have, so we have, it was originally min, but you have so there's a preposition here, and there is the kasra because of preposition. But what you have in the Quran is not a sukoon, you have a fatha. So the sukoon from the noon changed to a fatha. And that is because of the rule that if there is an alif lam coming afterwards, then the sukoon changes to a fatha. And if we were to analyze that, let me take this away now, inshallah. I hope that you have, you can remember them. So ila, min, fi, ala, bi, and li. Ila, to, min, from, fi, in or at, ala, bi, and li. Okay? Let me explain this in a little bit more detail, and so that you can understand it. So you have min, that is our preposition. It means from. You have al, all right? Al-jinnati. If you can recall, previously we were talking about alif lam, the definite article. I had mentioned that the definite article, the alif, would normally take a temporary fatha. This fatha is temporary. What does that mean? It means that if it is preceded by another word, the fatha goes away. The fatha disappears. If it is in the beginning of a word, in the beginning of a sentence, if it is at the beginning of a sentence, for example, if you have the beginning of Suratul Fatiha, you have Alhamdu Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? So now there is nothing before, so there is a fatha here to help. Because if you do not have a vowel for the alif, then the lam, which is vowelless, has a sukoon, it cannot be pronounced. She needs help. And she can only get help from the letter that is previous, that came before her, on condition that that letter has a vowel. So the most suitable vowel for the alif is the fatha. All right? It's al. So you have alhamdu lillah. Good? So we have a fatha for the alif. But now there was a fatha here, but because there is a word before, the fatha went away. The fatha is no longer the beginning of the sentence. Okay. So now what happens? We have a sukoon here and a sukoon. So now this lam is in need of help. Who can help her? The alif can't, because the alif doesn't have a fatha. All right? I think we have a phone call. Hello? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I just wanted to know if the ayah I found is correct. Like,
which ayah? Min al-jinnati wa nas?
No, I found an example from the Quran.
Oh, you found an example, another example. Okay. And you want to know if it is correct?
Two prepositions, but I want to know if it's correct.
Okay. What are they?
Fi jidiha hablum min masad.
Okay. So we have fi jidiha hablun min. Okay, we write that. Min masad. All right? Fiji. So, right, okay. That's it. Very good. So we have the preposition here, that's fi, and we have min. Fi is a preposition. So therefore, after fi, we have gd. There is a kasra. All right? Fi gdha. All right? Habalun min masad. So in her neck, or around her neck. All right? Habalun min masad, fiber. Habalun is like a rope. Min masadin. But in the Quran, you may not necessarily see a kasra there. What you may see is a single, and you might see a little meme there. We can talk about that another time. All right, so very good. We have someone who has been watching, and they notice they have found two other prepositions, fi and min, from another chapter of the glorious Quran. All right, so that's very good. Ahsant. We say ahsant. Well done. All right, so we just have about 4 minutes again. Let me just try to make you understand this point here, why it is that the sukoon was changed to a fatha. So I was just in the process of explaining that. So we have a word beginning with alif lam, and I said that the alif lam, which is a definite article, whenever it is preceded by another word, the fatha from the alif goes away, it disappears. When that happened, because here is a word, so the fatha went away. When that happened, the lam and the sukoon, now both of them, they are in need of help. The alif cannot help the lam because there is a word that is preventing the alif from helping. Okay? the noon cannot help the lam, because the noon herself, she is in the same position. She is vowelless. All right? She's sakina. She is stagnant. She doesn't have any haraka, movement. The harakat is the vowels they are called in Arabic. The vowels are called harakat. So only letters that have a vowel can assist. Okay? So now the lam cannot get assistance from the noon because the noon herself is not capable of helping her. She is vowelless. All right? And because of that, she was given, all right, a promotion, all right, and she got a fatha. All right? So now she can help. All right? The lam. Help, how you mean help? It means to form a sound, right? Or a syllable. So we have me, we have a letter and we have a vowel. So we have me. Noon, fatha is na, but it is joined to the lam because the lam needs help. So we say nal, minal jinnati. So minal jinnati, min, do not be fooled when you see the word like this. Don't think it is not a preposition. It is the same preposition, min. All right? So some people just make it easy. They say, okay, if you see the word min comes in contact with a word beginning with alif lam, change the sukun to a fathan. Move on. All right? As simple as that. Let me say that again. If min comes in contact with a word that begins with alif lam, change the sukun from the noon to a fatha and just continue. That is, in a simpler way it is put. All right? So we have looked at some prepositions, and we have also learned today that prepositions have an effect on noun, and that is they put the noun in the genitive case or the jar case. Prepositions in Arabic, they are called harfu jar, or the plural is huruful jar. Huruf al jar. Huruful jar. Prepositions or harfu jar, singular. Okay? They make the noun in the jar case. The nouns are said to be majroor. Majroor. The sign for the majroor is the kasra. Kasra is just one of the signs of the jar. Later on, inshallah, we will look at some other signs. Also in today's session, we have looked at some of these words. Kaifa, like kaifa haluk, you have learned that before. Mata means when. Mata. Hal and a, any one of the two, to make a question. They are called interrogative particles. All right? Interrogative words, letters. They are used to make sentences, and they could have various meanings. It could mean did, have, can, you, any one of the. Man means who, and you can also use to make a question. And you have limadha, why? Limadha. If you can take all of these words and put them with verbs, inshallah, you can make some wonderful questions, and you can also, have some nice conversations, inshallah. All right? So this is where we come to the end of our program today. 1 hour is already finished. And inshallah, حتى نلتقي في الأسبوع القادم إن شاء الله سنستمر في دروس في اللغة العربية. أشكركم على مطالعتكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.